So not long ago, I did the final version of the How to Draft the Perfect Fantasy Draft Guide, which of course includes my rendition or definition of perfect, which is developable wide receivers, developable running back, and quarterback. But that's not the most overpowered. Some people want the most overpowered. They want the sickest team, and they want to build the best roster, which is exactly what we're going to be doing in this one. Don't know if I'm going to end up doing a rebuild on it in the future, as I don't know if there's going to be that much of a need for a rebuild. I haven't actually drafted it yet, of course. I just am that confident that we're going to kill this team in a good way, of course, not in a bad way. But, of course, if you don't know how to do one of these, I guess before I do that, I should probably show you how to have the most updated rosters. You want to make sure that they're updated. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to follow this because it's going to be outdated, which it's really weird because the last, there you go, updated roster. Make sure it's active, which you can do by loading the file, but typically if you don't do a bunch of roster stuff, which sometimes I do, it should be loaded already, but it should be something like this, I think. So there's that. But the last one I did is weird. I talk about updated rosters, but for some reason, even though I tested the drafts multiple times, it wasn't updated for Josh Jacobs, but this one will be. So Jacobs not going to be a part of our draft process as he is very high now. I believe he's like basically a high second-round pick, which I don't think there's many running backs in the game worth taking that high. So I, maybe Chubb, perhaps. But basically this is how you do it. You start it up. You choose your team. We're not using the Packers, but starting point, fantasy draft. And then the one other thing you pretty much have to do is turn the injury / pre-existing. Boom, you start it, and then you're in. I actually kind of want to just click it just to see if we have a chance at the #1 overall pick, because that's what you're going to need if you want the most overpowered team. Maybe #2, I suppose. But here we are with the first pick overall. We also chose the Lions. Chose a team with multiple first-round picks because, once again, we're trying to build the most overpowered team. So when it comes to the offseason, we're going to have that advantage there as well. The only thing that's going to make this a little weird is that I normally don't draft this high or late, so I'm not used to having like the back-to-back pick type of situation, but we'll obviously get through that, no worries. A lot of different quarterback options. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, great as well, but none quite as good as Mr. Mahomes. 26 years old, X Factor, just ridiculous, the most overpowered player, so he's going to be #1 on our list of, well, the most overpowered fantasy draft guide, if you will, at 32, so basically at this pick, if we're lucky, guys like Lattimore in the first round, Marlon Humphrey, Mike Williams, Brian Burns, Trayvon Diggs would all be there. I'm really struggling on what I want to do with this because I really think if we're talking pure overpowered, you really kind of want to go Ronnie Stanley. You really do. He's 28, but the thing about him is he has the 2 most overpowered offensive lineman abilities, which basically make it impossible to get past him as an edge rusher. He has secure protector and edge protector, which is just ridiculous. But, man, it is tough to take an offensive lineman this high. And I've decided to change my mind as Rashawn Gary is here. He has No Outsiders and Swim Club, which are 2 pretty good abilities. And in general, he's 24 years old, 92 power move, 76 block shed, 86 speed, 89 excel. Edge is really hard to draft and develop in the game, so edge is going to be the position we go with here. And because we have that back-to-back, you got to think future-wise. The next time we're going to have a pick would be the 5th round pretty much. If we're lucky, which I don't think I actually want to go corner high because there's some really good corners later. Denzel Ward maybe at the end of the 4th there. But I think with this pick, we are going to be reaching a bit as it's like he's like a late 3rd, which obviously we're not going to be there. Quentin Williams is still only star development trait in this game, which is ridiculous. He's 24 years old. He's insane. We're going to grab him. So we have now 3 really solid players to start this first portion of the draft, if you will. And Denzel Ward is still there, and it's so tempting. You guys know that I love going for Denzel Ward like every time because he's just perfect. Really good catching, decent enough press, very fast. Man zone coverage are pretty much 90 apiece. Problem with that is later on, you're going to have guys like Tariq Woolen, which you just can't pass on because he's 6'4", he's fast as hell, and he's worth the pick. Look, I mean, just insane. You have Stokes later, who's also another, 94, 95 speed plus guy. Kelvin Joseph, a bunch of different corners. So, realistically, it's just not smart to take a guy like this early when you have just so many corners later on that you're going to pretty much have to take because they're just best available. And then for this spot, he's an early 6, pick 1 around in the 6th round, but I think you're not going to find a better value, especially for the age, than Creed Humphrey. 89 overall, 24-year-old lineman who I would definitely move at tackle. And as far as morality-wise goes, you could definitely make the argument that he could play tackle, right? He's huge, he's decently athletic, and he's just super good. So Creed Humphrey is going to be the pick here. Don't want to take too many linemen, though, because once again, linemen's not that hard of a position to draft in the rookie draft. And you know what? I'm going to double up on center. Ragnar is a early 7th. He's pick 1, but our next pick is going to be late 6th. So we kind of have to reach for him as well. You have 2 88+ overall tackles. And honestly, if you really don't want to, I probably wouldn't go for another lineman the rest of the class, other than maybe in the 20s or, the round 20 or later. And you know what? I am going to go Kenneth. He's just so good in the game. He's just too talented not to. Now, this is a pretty big reach because Jameson Williams is an early 10th round player, but the problem with this is our next pick is basically the start of the 9th, and I have guys like Tariq Woolen and Isaiah Simmons that are in the 10th and 11th rounds, which I don't think I'm going to be able to get both if I don't reach on someone. And if there's ever a player you want to reach on, Jameson Williams. He's so easy to develop because of that 98 speed with a 6'2 frame. Wide receiver 1 easily. But like I said, with Tariq Woolen, he is an early 10th guy, a pick 4 in the 10th round, which obviously our next pick after these two would be late 10th. So there's a chance that Mr. Simmons is still there, but there is 0 chance that Tariq Woolen is still there. So we must take Tariq Woolen now. What the hell? Where is he? No way, he's gone? Did I get EA'd hard? Oh my lord, the Bears took him early. So obviously that is the problem with these fantasy drafts, is you never know when players are going to go. They can go super early or they can go late. My list, I had Tariq Woolen as 26th in the 10th round. 26! It is currently the 9th round. Of course, if there was ever a position you were going to get sold on, corner is not the worst one to have because guys like Charvarius Ward are there till later. Like I said, Stokes is a starting level talent because of that speed. It sucks. It really sucks, but, that's just part of the fantasy draft process. It just happens so often. But I guess Isaiah Simmons is going to be our next pick. He is basically going to be our linebacker. Of course, it's kind of his position. Ridiculously overpowered at linebacker, but also fair. He's also fair. He's insane, dude. 6'4", 238, running around like that. Would have been so perfect up to this point if it wasn't for the insane overdraft. Well, overdraft according to how the game's supposed to be coded of Tariq Woolen. It's pretty much impossible to overdraft him. I wouldn't even hate him in the first round if you were going to take him. If it's outside the top 10, I wouldn't even hate it, honestly. And since we didn't get Woolen, I'm going to go CJ Gardner-Johnson. You can play him at safety if you want, but I'd probably move him to corner. He's not the most athletic, but his value is pretty damn good because of the overall. He's going to be super smart. And with this pick, I'm really hoping I didn't get screwed over again, and I almost took him that round because of it. He is not gone. Trey Hendrickson, super value. I know 27's up there, but a dev up or two, and he's there. 89 finesse move this late in the draft when he's still young, right? I don't think he'll regress for at least another 2 seasons, so that's perfectly fine. Trey Hendrickson, super value because he's normal. Normal dev, the game's he sucks. He's awful. And now we're kind of the picks where, you can't really go wrong because the overalls aren't going to be great. You're getting a lot of guys that are more potential-based than ready to play and do great right now. As you can see, the draft is, I wouldn't say dwindling down, but you're looking at players that aren't going to be as high overalls, right? And I had a mini panic. I wouldn't say attack, but there's a mini panic in me. I was like, quarterback? And it's oh yeah, Mahomes. I'm just not used to having a pick 1 overall quarterback. And I really didn't think I was going to go for him because there's so many other speedy options, but I don't think Trey McBride has the aggressive catch trait, which I think I've debunked in past Maddens. I haven't really done it this Madden, that it doesn't actually do a whole lot, but Noah Fant has aggressive catch trait. He is faster. He does have better catching. He's better route running. Same height as Trey McBride. Only 2 years older. I got to go Noah Fant. He is a mismatch god. And a lot of the times you only do need speed, but he is still worth it, I think. And now this is where guys like Daxton Hill and Lewis Cine would be going. Don't think you really need Daxton Hill, but Lewis Cine is a can't miss. There's a chance Lewis Cine would be here for our next picks, but I can't take that chance. There's a very good chance that he would be gone before then. So with the 93 speed, 95 excel, 89 hit power, 22-year-old rookie on the board, yeah, we're going to take him. Also, I don't even know if I mentioned he's 6'2". He's like your defensive Jamison Williams. Yeah, 1432 is our next set of picks, and he's expected to go 1427. Also, what did Shaquille Leonard do? He must have been somewhere in the news or for doing something wrong, right? Like, he's a normal dev right now. He must have did something. And you know what? I told you not to go O-line. Tyler Smith is just one of my favorite players in the game. Like, he's just so good, dude. Look at that. Like, I talked about how easy it is to draft offensive linemen, but you're not going to draft a lineman that good, no matter what. You could draft a superstar lineman, and it would take him 2 seasons probably on pretty modest sliders to even come close to as good as that. Like, it's just, he's so good. He's like 80 across the board with 94 strength and athleticism, and he's only 21. I had to take him. And our next picks are going to be in the late 16th. This is where we're going to be taking one of the huge steals, maybe one of the biggest steals that you can get in a fantasy draft. Charvarius Ward, 26-year-old, normal dev. He's a slower player, in fairness, but 91 speed's obviously perfectly fine. But basically the same ratings, but better press than Denzel Ward, but obviously just doesn't have the athleticism, but super good. And once again, only this, here this late because he's normal dev. If he was even star dev, he probably goes like picks like in the 7th round probably. But since he's not, you're getting an insane steal here. And yeah, outside of Tariq Woolen, which I'd imagine if you did this like 3 times in a row, you'd probably have Tariq Woolen every single time in the 10th round. This has gone perfectly. And of course, last round, I think, is when you would have wanted Caleb Farley. He's gone now. But I looked at Caleb Farley one more time, and I was like, he's just not worth it because he's star dev. Because he's star dev, he goes so much higher than guys like Stokes and Kelvin Joseph when they're all almost super similar. And a dev up for a DB from normal to star is super common. Plus, you get the XP for getting it. Also, there's some players on my list that I didn't really know were like updated in a bad way. Like I had Rodney Hudson and Shaquille Leonard on my list, but I did not know that they were way lower dev. Rodney Hudson isn't a guy I would draft, but at superstar, I'd maybe debate it at least. I'd at least think about it, but at star, 0 chance, right? Same with Leonard at normal dev, 0 chance. I will say, he's not the worst player in the world, but yeah, I mean, there's pretty much 0 chance I would take them. And this is another reach, but honestly, I have no one else to take here. A lot of our players are going to be reaches. Normal dev Hufanga. But yeah, this is really why I didn't want to draft safety. But like I said, because we didn't get Tariq Woolen, I kind of used the C.J. Gardner-Johnson pick to kind of take that player in place. And this is where I'd probably take Baron Browning if I didn't have 2 edge rushers. And honestly, I really have no one here. I'm just going to start reaching a little bit. Donovan Peoples-Jones is another one of those super steals. This is a guy that, you look at if you want a guy like Pickens, just wait for this guy. He's a little bit older than Pickens in fairness, but he is a little bit better as well. And you don't have to grab him like 8 rounds higher than this. I think that's kind of when Pickens goes. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but definitely earlier than this. And now I still don't know who to take because I have so many different players that are like in round 20-ish. But we're not at round 20 yet, are we? And we've seen Tariq Woolen go early. We're going to grab Eric Stokes, make sure he doesn't go early. Super steal, one of the biggest steals you can get in the fantasy draft. Once again, another normal development trade player. Maybe next Madden, if he doesn't go up in overall, maybe not worth it because 24 normals, it's starting to get to the point where it's like you're really missing out on key development years. But for right now, it's still perfectly fine. Now, this man's is a bit down here, but he has really good change of direction, insane speed, hit power is solid, jumping's okay, catching's decent. It doesn't matter what your jumping is as a linebacker, though, because they don't jump anyways, but Nakobe Dean's going to be my choice here. A little early, like I said, but once again, at this point, we've been kind of reaching in a lot of our rounds because it's better to just guarantee a player than it is to risk them for nothing. And while he may not be the best scheme fit, if you are running a 3-4, this is a guy you can't miss, Aleem McNeil. But he's really good ratings for his size and his overall. 76 power move, 74 block shed is great. DT's not the hardest position to draft, though, which is why I'm a little hesitant. But, I mean, at this point in the draft, you're not going to get that much better of value other than wide receiver corner, which corners are pretty much set for us, and wide receivers, we have so many other options. I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, we didn't really get that many, but we have 2 wide receivers already, and we still have guys like Tyquan Thornton, Calvin Austin, and Anthony Schwartz and Quez Watkins and all those types of players. And now Connor Williams is a early 22nd round guy. He is super valuable for his position in this draft, so we're going to be grabbing him, which means we're only down to 1 last lineman needed. So yeah, we drafted a little more linemen than I would have thought, but it is what it is. I think all the picks are worth it. And it's really hard for me not to just grab like Desmond Ridder as a backup, because right now I have nobody other than reaching early. Instead of worrying about like those positions, which honestly don't matter, backup quarterback, like your quarterback's like never going to get hurt, I'm just going to start reaching on players that are just worth it no matter what. So like I said, it might be a little early. He goes like a round and a half, maybe 2 rounds from now, but Brian Robinson almost was my starting running back here. Also didn't know he was only 88 speed, so it's fair enough that we took Kenneth Walker. Now you have a great 1-2 punch. So we're still probably going to end up going for Tyquan Thornton anyways, but Romeo Doubs is one of the better players in the game for late fantasy draft wide receivers. 92 speed, 94 excel, with a decent size at 6'2". We're going to grab him. Who knows if he even plays, but once again, I don't really have much here, so I'm just going to take him as my kind of best available pick type of player. Reaching again, Nick Bonito is going to be my pick. Once again, all these players, like these double pick rounds, I'm like forced to reach because there's just no players at the specific round I'm looking at. We said we were still going to grab Tyquan Thornton, and we don't disappoint. Once again, we're reaching a little bit, but Kelvin Joseph, another guy we talked about, that is just one of those can't miss type of players. Decently fast, 6 foot tall, young. What else can you ask for? What else do you need? Another reach, but an ultimate can't miss player in Nick Cross. Once again, so many safeties, which is why I didn't really want to, grab too many early, but we still kind of did. And now we're going to take a backup tight end in Jelani Woods. Is going to go with Bellinger, but I like the height from Jelani, so we're going to take him instead. It's 2 years older, so the backup tight end, what else you want? Super fun player, Tyler Batty's kind of like a 30th type of pick, but once again, at this point, we're just going to be reaching anyway, so I'm going to take players that I want and I think are good. There are a bunch of other linebackers as well, but Brian Asamoah we're going to be grabbing now. The speedster JT Woods, not great, but speedy. That's all you really ask for in a DB if you can't get, talent. Another Cowboys lineman and Tyler Bayadaz. He's going to finish the group. Got to get your kick returner, 24-year-old Kenny Nwangwu. Just what else can you ask for? Super speed. Then we have probably the guy that I would make my 3rd user linebacker, even though we've taken Asamoah before him, Troy Anderson. And you can never have enough linebackers. It's pretty much the last, young speedster that you can grab, so that's who we're going to be taking in Channing Tindall. And talking about a huge mammoth, Mr. Quinton Bohanna. Love those types of players. Bring them on. And if you're a Packers fan, why not? If you grab Creed Humphrey like a smart person, take the guy that the Packers took 1 pick before him in real life, Josh Myers. It's slightly early for him because he's like 17 overall, but Carson Strong's the backup quarterback. Maybe should have went Ridder earlier, but it's a backup quarterback. Who cares? Those backup quarterbacks start flying around free agency because nobody needs them anymore anyway, so just wait. Relax. And the busted move, Ben Jones. I mean, he sometimes retires after year 1, maybe sometimes 2 seasons later, but he is super value at this point. Not super value as in he's cheap, but super value, and you know. What the hell is this? He just decided he wanted to be different, huh? He does what he wants. He doesn't care. I like it. 24, but more value on the offensive line. It's super late in the draft. There are still really good players, especially athletic guys, but, it's late. Stop yelling at me. And I don't want to hear it. Cam Newton is a good pick because he's a fun quarterback, and more importantly, he has the mentor tag. Not that Mahomes really needs it, but if you want more XP, I suppose. Oh, I should have actually checked if Mahomes was on Cam Newton's list of players he would back up. That's my fault. More linemen. Not the greatest, but 23 years old. Can't go wrong. You actually could go wrong, but we didn't. And at this point, you don't really need to go this early for them, but you might as well just get your kickers. I also didn't think about Daniel Carlson. I still think, though, that McPherson is the best of the kickers. Cade York's not a superstar, right? He's only star. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure Evan McPherson is still the best of the kickers. Because as you can see, they're both superstar. But McPherson, even though he's 3 less kick power, is also 4 years younger. So, Evan McPherson, obviously, if you want a Tucker, I think he was like a round 32 guy. I don't know why you would want Tucker over McPherson unless you're doing like a 1 or 2 season only. And then obviously development trait, it doesn't get any better than AJ Cole. Superstar development trait as well, 26. You got your special teamers. And at this point, you're pretty much just going athleticism for positions that you didn't fill all the way. You know, Amari Barno. Would have liked to get another DT, but DTs are pretty easy to draft, so it's not that big of a deal. You could almost argue that I shouldn't even have went with McNeil earlier, but I do like his value, especially since he's only 22. Will say I sold a little bit. Don't know where the hell Leal is. I think he's gone. That would have been a nice depth piece, but what can you do? You could always just go Sue if you really feel like your linebackers or your DTs are lacking. So a Damakong Sue, I suppose. Why not? Ooh, I actually did almost sell. For real, for real. Assuming he's still there, which he should be. And he's not really? Oh, maybe he is. Yeah, he is. Okay, so Zion McCollum, 23 years old, but 6'2", 93 speed, insane athleticism across the board, good jumping, catching's great. Like I said, like I wouldn't know if I would say I would start him, but corner just is not a position that you have to worry about in these drafts. Kalen Barnes is still there with his 97 speed. Maybe wouldn't start him either because he's lower overall, but speed, it kills, dude. I'm telling you, you really don't need to. You really don't need anything else. Speed just, it makes up for everything. Fullbacks, we have a new king in town, especially since it doesn't seem like ratings matter that much for fullbacks. It's all about how fast the player is. So Reggie Gilliam is the king of fullbacks now. I also wonder when Calvin Austin went, because normally he would be there for me. He's not there. Unless I'm just blind, which I very well could be. Puka's fun, because you can put him at running back, because it makes sense. But let's go speed. Ty Chandler, another Vikings running back. Why not? But yeah, you get the gist. Bunch of athletic players fill the positions you haven't filled. At this point, I think we have them all, though. We have quarterback, definitely running back. Wide receiver, maybe another 1 or 2 wouldn't hurt. O-line is definitely filled. We've got like every center in the entire draft. Another DT definitely wouldn't hurt, but we've got 4, so don't really need them. A linebacker, we're set there. I mean, maybe... So basically another corner, another wide receiver, and then maybe value if you really want to cheese it for trades. But, I mean, we're pretty good. You know, if you're going to do that for trades, I guess maybe Kyle Juszczyk, because he's an 87 overall. I imagine he has some sort of value. And then I always say it, and I've never been able to confirm it, but Randall Cobb, because I would imagine he has the mentor tag, like I said. I imagine. I don't know if he actually does, but I'm pretty sure he does, because he's like... Well, that's what he does. It's kind of what his mentors. I actually had Jalen Armour Davis going way earlier than this, but once again, another athletic guy. Kind of feel bad for not grabbing the Javelin missile, so we'll probably end up grabbing him as well, assuming we can, because the draft is pretty much over at this point. We got him. We got him, the Javelin. My boy. And that will conclude the draft. They won't let us have our final pick. We don't need it anyways. We're going to have to get rid of someone, though, because we have 54 players. Who the hell do we get rid of? Like, I actually love all of these players. Who do I get rid of? You might actually have to get rid of the damn Javelin. We just got him. Bro, we actually have to get rid of the Javelin. And he does have the mentor tag, which is perfect. So all those guys are going to get XP bonuses because of him being on the roster. I think you have to get rid of Gaidry. I don't want to, but I kind of have to. Where the hell is he, actually? Is he so good that he's just, like, not on the list? He is solid, but we don't actually need that many corners. 6 is plenty. Oh, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. I'm going to have to get rid of someone else. I can't. It's going to be Ty Chandler. I can't get rid of the Javelin. I just can't do it. I tried. It just didn't happen. Although, actually, I didn't even need to because we're going to be trading Juszczyk off, I imagine. I'm going to do a quick trade for Juszczyk, see what I can get. Get not the Javelin, get Ty Chandler back, assuming he's still there. Bradley Chubb is pretty decent trade value. Julian Love isn't terrible. DJ Humphries, if you need an lineman. What actual position do we need, though? Oh, Draymond Jones. would be decent. Derek Forrest is young. DJ Jones. I don't know who's younger. Tart. I think Tart's my guy. Aziz Ojulari they're offering? Why would they offer him? Well, it's a little cheese, but I'm going to take him anyways. It is what it is. 87 overall fullback. What can I tell you? So, yeah, now we have immense depth at the position. We're going to move the team around, and I will show you the final result here. Doubt we do a rebuild because, once again, I think it's just going to win too easily. But if you guys really want to see it, we could do it. Of course, this isn't even really a rebuild team. This is you using a team. If this is a rebuild team, I probably wouldn't even have drafted any of the linemen because you really don't need linemen in a rebuild technically. I'd rather double up and triple up on defense at that point. But we'll fix the roster, and I don't even know how the hell you decide who's the starting lineman because there's just so many talented ones here. So sadly, one of the downsides to playing a 4-3, which is usually what we do in these, is that you can't actually get the abilities for Rashawn Gary right away, but they're close. One more upgrade point, and he would be able to get Swim Club, which is the most important out of those upgrades in fairness. But as far as no outsiders go, he needs 85 run stopper, which is definitely a bit further away, but it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's not the end of the world. All right, here we go. What is the team looking like? What's the overall? 84. And once again, we did obviously go for the quote-unquote most overpowered, but we still went with a bunch of really young players, obviously. You know, it's tough to go most overpowered without still thinking about the future, because otherwise, what's the point? We still made an overpowered draft with the best players, with young players in general. The only old players we really have are, some of the linemen, really, which not even some of, just the center. It's like the only player we have that's old. Everyone else is young as hell. This is a team and a half. I also didn't change this to a 4-3, which that'll also upgrade our overall, I'd imagine, or at least make it similar, if not. This was a good one. This was a good one, and I kind of do want to do a rebuild for this team just to see how good they would play, as I think, this is a team that probably wins it all. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, 85 overall now. Ridiculous. The highest overall team there is, and once again, probably across the board, the youngest overall team there is. A bunch of 84s, in fairness. A little surprised by that. Seattle with an 85 overall, but there's no way any of these teams are even close to as young as us. Like, not even close. So we landed ourselves, now it's saying 84, but we landed ourselves an insane squad, and of course that, is featured with Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Of course, took some linemen a little early, but you have 287 overall tackles now, ridiculously talented. I kind of wish we would have went with Ronnie Stanley, just because he is so freaking busted with those abilities, but it is what it is. These 287 overalls will get the job done, same as... Maybe not same as, but very well anyways. Yeah, this is the squad. As far as like who you would upgrade, once again, in a rebuild sense, this is not the perfect team, but in a user sense it is, because you have insane linebackers and speedy wide receivers. We'll see what happens in a rebuild if we decide to go that route. We actually do a rebuild of them. But as far as using them goes, it is overpowered. Insane speed. Yeah, Mahomes. The offensive line is solid. The defense has speed across the board. The D-line is insanely talented. The corners are pretty much locked down. It's a great squad, and hopefully you guys enjoy this one. Let me know if it helped you out, or I'm going to probably update the updated fantasy draft guide image as well, because this one's a little bit better, I think, that I made. Check it out maybe if you want to just do your own fantasy draft. Has nothing to do with this video. You were just watching for entertainment. You had it in the background listening to it. Whatever it may be. Maybe follow that along. I don't know. But maybe leave a like if you enjoyed, if it helped you out. Whatever. Subscribe if you're new. We do a ton of franchise stuff on the channel, of course. And if you're not new, really appreciate your continued support. Second channel, Jeromepkr Plays. Still haven't decided what I want to upload there, as there's a lot of games coming out like this month still. So I'm kind of holding off until I decide to upload one of those whenever they come out. And then twitter.com/Jeromepkr for the rare tweetage. That's about it. I don't know if this was the first or the second video of the day, but there should be 2 videos today, maybe a third. Whether there is or not, tomorrow will be a rebuild of some sort. Maybe the Ravens, perhaps the Rams. I don't know yet. And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys come back for next video. But until next video, see ya!